So you take three of Hollywood's most talented actors, you mix them all together in one interesting crime thriller, and the result has to be compelling cinema, right? Secret in Their Eyes stars Julia Roberts, Nicole Kidman, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. It's directed by Billy Ray. It's a remake of a rather highly regarded Argentinian film directed by Juan Jose Campanella. I haven't seen that film, so in regards to that, I cannot really comment on any comparisons between the two, but I will honestly say that I was intrigued about seeing this film. Once I read the synopsis and saw who was starring in it, I had very high hopes that this would be a very tense, gritty, intriguing thriller, and that was what I was hoping for when I went into watching it. This storyline follows a group of tight-knit investigators for the counterterrorism unit who find their lives completely turned upside down when they get called to a murder scene and find that the victim is one of their own children. It completely tears them apart, and years later, when a mugshot is revealed that may lead to the whereabouts and the identity of this killer, the group reunites and they find that the dynamics and the relationships between them are much different than was before. Despite finding the plot somewhat intriguing, it was clearly the three headlining stars that made me want to watch this film, and for that aspect, I would say this movie was a success. I thought Julia Roberts was excellent. She poured herself into the role of that shattered parent dealing with such a tragic loss. As a viewer, you can connect with her on many levels. It was a very engaging angle of the story. On the downside, I would have liked to see more of it. I felt that too often she was forgotten. Chiwetel Ejiofor was excellent as always. He captured the persona that he needed to for this role. He added a dose of personality for a collection of characters in this film that really were lacking such. For the most part, most of the people in this movie felt kind of flat. He added a little bit of personality to it, a little bit of energy to the role, and given that the storyline kind of followed around him, that was a saving grace. Nicole Kidman was pretty good in this movie. I would honestly say, though, she came across as a little flat at times. She felt a little bit too much like Nicole Kidman, not enough like a person playing a character in this storyline. I know she's a great character actor, and I've seen her take on roles before and really pour herself into them, whether it was the material she had to work with or what she thought she was perceiving as her role. It just came across as very flat. Most of her scenes had a kind of a solemn feel to it, and for some of them it worked, and others it just simply didn't. But I will say the three of them worked excellent together. For a storyline that kind of revolved around character dynamics between different players, that aspect of the film was very good. They had a great back and forth with one another. All of them worked very well. You bought them as friends, you bought them as would-be lovers, you bought them as co-workers, and you bought them as friends. All the relationship dynamics that this film needed to convey, these three actors were easily able to do with their chemistry. The problems I had with this film was how this interesting story was told in a rather uninteresting way, and how the shift of focus kept going back to the character dynamics and not the true plot that it was revolving around. And for it to be focused so much on these character dynamics, I don't think there was that much depth to the characters to really warrant that. So in the end, I just kept on wanting them to focus somewhere else other than they were, and at times it just came across as boring. I kept waiting for something to happen. In my opinion, for a film like this to be successful, it needs to build tension throughout, it needs to build a little bit of suspense throughout, and eventually pay off into something in the third act. The first act of this film was excellent. It really engages you quick, it ramps up the tension really fast, and then after that, the whole second act kind of just revolves around this Ejiofor, Nicole Kidman would-be love dynamic. And this plot is supposed to be centered around Julia Roberts losing her daughter, and it is excellently captured in the first act. It builds a strong emotional intrigue, and then she is all but forgotten. And in the end, it's a rather unengaging crime thriller that had its moments, and despite the third act being relatively unique, it doesn't nearly land with the full gusto that they were going for. And the flashback delivery in this movie was not well done at all. I found myself completely just having to stare at Ejiofor's beard and seeing if it had gray in it to tell if we were in the present day or if we're in the past. It wasn't well structured. It wasn't very well organized. It was just kind of a messy way of telling a story that focused too much on the uninteresting and not enough to make the interesting crime thriller that it should have been. I'm gonna have to give Secret in Their Eyes a 6 out of 10. I was really on the edge of giving it a 5.5 out of 10, but I think the performances by the cast easily made this a better movie than it was. It isn't a horrible one-time watch, but if you're thinking you're going to get a crime thriller that's going to have some intensity to it, this isn't the one that's going to get it done. I would say go watch the original. That's what I'm going to do. I'm interested in seeing what Campanella did in this film to do a successful version of how this story can be told, and once I watch it, I'll do a video on it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this review of Secret in Their Eyes. If you have seen it, go ahead and let me know what you thought below. If you like videos like this, go ahead and subscribe below. I'm Anthony with the SilverScreen Analysis, and we'll see you next time.